Welcome back to Inside the Helmet. Elephant in the room. I'm still getting over being sick, so I apologize for how I sound. Um, my name's Michael. I am one of your hosts. Joining me, of course, is my dad, as usual.
Hey there.
Yeah, and remember a month and a half ago when we said that the next episode would feature a new backdrop for me as I would be moving? Well, I finally did.
Hooray.
Hooray, hooray. The stuffed
Well,
animals are
that's
not in the
over.
backdrop anymore.
Yeah.
We got what should be a shorter episode today. Just a couple things to talk about. First up on the docket is Kyler Murray, a much talked about quarterback given his status as a number one overall pick back in 2019 and Heisman winner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, at Oklahoma. And so he, after a long and up and down, but not nearly as fortunate as one would hope, stint in Arizona, finally gets cut loose and picked up by the Minnesota Vikings. Or was he
Mm-hmm.
traded there? Either way, he's no longer on the Cardinals that drafted him. He has new beginnings at a team that seems to be very desperate for a new quarterback. What do we think about that?
Yeah, I mean, first from the perspective of the Vikings, I don't know if we talked about it before, but I was one of those that when Sam Darnold did what he did with them, I thought, boy, they can't let him go because I didn't think J.J. McCarthy was anything more than a system quarterback at Michigan. And then they let him go, and he wins the Super Bowl. And J.J. McCarthy hasn't lived up to the hype, uh, whatever hype there may be.
Yeah,
And so by signing Kyler Murray, I think maybe Minnesota's realizing that McCarthy is maybe not the guy. And so Vikings, like a lot of teams, they're desperately trying to find that one guy, that leader. And as far as Kyler Murray goes, I mean, the guy was a winner in high school. He was a winner in college. He's got unbelievable quickness, pretty good arm, pretty good accuracy, leadership, and he's a veteran. So, of course,
mm-hmm.
why not bring him in? Um,
Certainly. And I know he obviously wasn't the winningest quarterback in the NFL during his time so far in Arizona, but it almost seemed like he was kind of the scapegoat, wouldn't you say, for all the Cardinals' other problems? Like, oh, pin it
yeah,
on Kyler Murray.
yeah, I've been watching NFL football for a half a century, and the Cardinals have been good once, and that was that little run with Kurt Warner and Larry Fitzgerald.
They were
Uh,
pretty good in 2015 until they got to the NFC Championship.
yeah, but I mean, historically, they're not a winning franchise,
No.
and I mean, I didn't see enough of Kyler Murray. The Cardinals were not big prime time demand
And
must
you were
see.
getting hurt, too.
Yeah. So scapegoat. Well, in the sense that the Cardinals have more problems than
Certainly.
anything Kyler Murray did. He was not the reason they weren't winning.
Certainly.
Um, yeah. So, good fresh start for him.
Mhm.
Everybody, every time they talk about Kyler Murray, they always mention his height. And I was one when he first got into the league. I wondered. He is extraordinarily small quarterback. I wondered if he could last, if he could take the hits. But you know what? He's still around. He's had some injuries, but it's not been because of his size.
Sure.
I mean, if you're that quick, your joints, your ankles, your knees, that kind of thing are going to give you trouble. It's not that he hasn't been able to withstand the hitting and the size of the players or anything like that. I think he's a legitimate starting NFL quarterback, and I think he's definitely an upgrade over J.J. McCarthy,
I certainly
who,
believe so, too.
yeah, he
And,
hadn't he
and
hadn't proven anything.
at the very least, I think it's very good, regardless of how good or bad Kyler Murray ends up being. Obviously, you just mentioned he is a step up from JJ McCarthy, but it could also be a factor of the Vikings bringing him in to try kind of elevate McCarthy by bringing in a known threat, a starting caliber, pretty good on his good days quarterback in the NFL who's certainly more established than McCarthy is. Bring him in and bring that pressure along with him to try and get McCarthy to elevate his game.
Yeah, I'm not sure McCarthy has the ability to elevate his game, but I've been wrong before, so
Mm-hmm.
not wishing the young man anything bad. But
Of course.
I think I think if I'm management from the Vikings, I'm looking at it as if I don't bring in a named quarterback, I'm going to. I don't know the contract status of Justin Jefferson, but uh, he
Yeah,
was
he's going to want.
clearly, yeah, I mean, he was clearly not utilized last year in the manner that we've seen him in the past as one of the
No.
top two or three receivers in the entire league. And he was saying all the right things post game. It's like, JJ, you had two passes for 15 yards. How do you feel? And he's a professional. He's not going to say anything, but
Uh,
anybody who's a true competitor, and he is, has got to be going, you got to be kidding me. So the Vikings kind of needed to make a splash this season, just not only Jefferson, but anybody on the team. If they want to re-sign some of their veterans and show, hey, we're serious about at least making an attempt to elevate this team.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So
something had to change.
yeah, um, I mean the Vikings 2 years ago with Darnold there were maybe not the favorite, but one of the favorites in the NFC. And then last year they just kind of faded into obscurity, um, and didn't make a splash at all. And I think if you what is it they say? If your rocket ship is not going up, it's going down. And when your rocket ship is going down, then people start bailing, and you start losing even more talent. And they've got some people who are in the prime of their career right now. Jefferson comes to mind. Addison, the other receiver, is still fairly young, and they got some pieces in place. It's going to be at least interesting to see what Kyler Murray can bring to that offense that they certainly didn't have last year.
For sure. We'll be on the lookout for that this season.
Yeah. Um, so I know that F1 racing has kicked off, and so you're happy about that. And each week I try to make it a point to ask you, so what happened this week in F1 racing?
Yeah, happy's a strong word given the regulations that we have at the moment. I'm I'm excited that it's back, but at the same time, I'm horrified for what it has become at the moment. Yes, this past weekend, Formula One went racing around the Shanghai International Circuit in China, of course, which featured Kimi Antonelli of Mercedes, second year, 19-year-old driver, becoming the youngest pole sitter in F1 history after his teammate and championship leader, George Russell, had an issue that almost prevented him from doing a fast lap in the final session of qualifying. However, he was able to get up and running towards the end and put his car second place on the grid. However, when the lights went out, George was not able to overtake his teammate, and Kimi went on to become the second youngest race winner in Formula One history, only behind. Take a guess.
Max
Um,
Verstappen.
yep. Anyway, however, speaking of Max, he unfortunately was not able to finish the race because of a looming problem that has been plaguing hard almost every team so far in this new regulation cycle, and that is reliability issues. Obviously, we've mentioned it before, we'll mention it again. With 2026 Formula One brought about new regulations, completely overhauling the way that the cars were built, how big the cars could be, the dimensions, everything. But the most drastic change was to the engines, or the powertrain, the power unit, as it's called now, because rather than just being gas powered like your and I's car, unless you drive a Tesla, which, eh, um, the cars are now 50-50 between gas power and electric power. And this electric power has been causing countless issues for the cars, for the teams, for the drivers, and for the quality of the racing, and more so the qualifying, if you ask me. Because now, instead of strategic timing and risk taking, going for a gap, diving up the inside when your opponent's not expecting it to make an overtake, now you simply wait until your opponent has used up their battery trying to overtake you, and then on the next straightaway, you use your battery to overtake them again, and you go back and forth until one of you happens to have timed it up right, and you're ahead at the finish line, which, in my opinion, is a very artificial and boring form of racing. Sure, it inflates the number of overtakes simply because of the number of back and forth, but it's just not my cup of tea, if you ask me. It creates a lot of situations. Are you ever on the highway and you're maybe in the middle lane going like 60 or so, and then someone in the left lane comes flying by you at what seems like 120, and you're just left there like, goodness, like, wow, I barely even saw him.
Yeah, I think we've all been there.
Well, those are much more akin to the situations that we find ourselves watching on track this season. Um, so that's on track, but in the garages, reliability has also been a big issue. Obviously, these teams and engine manufacturers, because not every team makes their own engine. Some teams, like Mercedes, will make their own engine and then sell them or loan them out to other teams, the customer teams like Williams and Alpine, that will buy an engine from another team, essentially. Um, but obviously, with these brand new engines and brand new cars, a lot of stuff is still being figured out. And so a lot of teams are having reliability issues, whether it's cars shutting down in the middle of the race or it's cars not even being able to leave the garage, such as in the case of both Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. The McLaren pair didn't even get to go to the grid on Sunday because their cars were not suitable to drive in the race whatsoever. So the state of Formula One is very much wishy washy. They did cancel, or at least suspend, the Bahrain and Saudi Arabia race. Both of them, obviously, coming up pretty soon in April. They announced they would not take place in April, obviously, because of the looming threat of conflict going on in that part of the world. It's just not the right time to try and go racing when there are missiles flying around everywhere. Regardless of your opinion on that, I think we can all agree it's just not a good time to have that many people try and gather for a sporting event in that part of the world. So they haven't officially canceled them. They may come back later in the season when we have another break at a different point and say, all right, it's safer now. We're going to do it then. But that is, still is up in the air, remains to be seen. And of course, I'm sure the regulations will show to get better, whether it's through the FIA making amendments to the regulations, trying to fix some of the noticeable problems that the teams, drivers, and fans are all complaining about, to try and make them more reliable and more akin to what people want, rather than just what the FIA think is the right idea, because clearly they got it wrong. But obviously, we'll just have to wait and see what happens race by race. There is no F1 this upcoming weekend. We have to wait another week before we see cars on track in Japan. So we'll see
On
how
the
that goes.
positive side, they do have a new movie coming out called F1
It came
that
out
they've been.
last year.
Oh, all right. Well, they're still advertising it. Maybe it's now coming out on some of the
Maybe.
different channels where you can
Well, it
see it
also, I
in
think
your
they
home.
won an Oscar for some sound related award.
I think they did too. So,
So that is
but
very
yeah,
good.
it's
I saw the
your
movie.
point's well taken. It's a growing sport. I mean, if they're making movies about it now, trying to
Hmm.
bring in new crowds, and maybe they're just experimenting, trying different things, and
Yeah,
hopefully they will listen to the fans
I certainly hope so.
and the other drivers and make the correct adjustments to
Hmm.
grow their sport. So okay, we've reached the halfway point of the show,
Yep.
and we decided to have just a little bit of a competition
Oh boy.
between the two the two of us. That we used to do this. The listeners should know. Growing up, after dinner, throwing football in the side yard, developing your quarterback arm. We used to do things like this just for the fun of it between us to have conversation while we were throwing a football, and figured we'll bring it to the show a little bit, uh, picking a topic and having a bit of a competition to see who's the first one out. So uh, this week, I think we'll just kind of stick kind of basic and see who the first one out is. We're going to name Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and the rule, the same way that we've always played it, is we go back and forth until one of us can't, within a reasonable amount of time, come up with a name or gives an incorrect name, and then to actually win that segment, the other person has to put an exclamation point on and come up with one last name. So, uh, NFL Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and
I'm
I
looking up
will.
the reference right now just so we make sure to fact check.
Yeah, if you're fact checking though, you're going to be getting names that.
That's true. That's true. Closing tab.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not
Close the
trying to
tab. You
cheat,
can't.
just trying to make
No,
sure that
you
if
can't
we
do that.
name,
I think we know this topic pretty well.
all right, all
Uh,
right. I just don't want to say someone that, isn't in the Hall of Fame and then we don't know that they're not in the Hall of Fame.
yeah,
I didn't read any names. All I read was the Hall of Fame thing saying that 23 of them have made the Hall of Fame,
23 quarterbacks
supposedly.
in the NFL Hall of Fame
That may not be
altogether.
updated, but we'll see.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, we'll flip a coin and call heads or tails.
You call it.
Well, I'm flipping.
Okay. Tails.
Okay. Well, I didn't actually flip a coin, but I was going to say tails. So you called it right. So you get
Cool.
the choice of if you want to go first or second.
I'll go second.
You go second. Okay. I'm going to take the easiest one off the table, and I'm going to say Roger the Dodger Staubach.
I'll say Troy Aikman.
I will say Bart Starr.
I will say Johnny Unitas.
I will say Warren Moon.
Otto Graham.
Jim Kelly.
Brett Favre.
Okay. Dan Marino.
Ken Stabler.
Joe Montana.
John Elway.
Terry Bradshaw.
Peyton Manning.
And Brady's not in yet. Is uh, 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 oh my gosh, the guy who played for the Redskins all those years ago. Well, I'm just gonna say Norm Van Brocklin.
Okay. Kurt Warner.
Sonny Jurgensen is the name I was trying to come up with.
Is Sammy Baugh in the Hall of Fame? He's got to be.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not, I'll give it to you because I'm quite
He ought
certain
to
that.
be. Sammy Baugh.
Well, he's got to be. Um, Uh, Steve Young.
Okay. Um, Joe Namath.
Oh, wow. Um, eh, my mind is searching because there's a few that are about to be in the NFL Hall of Fame and they're not yet because they haven't been retired quite long enough. I'm scrambling in my brain trying to go through teams and Fran Tarkenton.
I was going to say that. Is Bob Gracie in the Hall of Fame?
I don't think he is.
Let me look it up. Yes, he is. Inducted
Oh,
in 1990.
huh. All right. Well, um, Lynn Dawson.
Ooh, good one. Bobby Lane.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is too. We should have been keeping track to see how close we are to 23 because there can't be too many left. Um, I'm going to be curious to see when we do run out. Pull up the list of NFL Hall of Fame quarterbacks. If there's 23, there can't be too many that we haven't thought of yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, I mean, I want to say Bob Waterfield from the Rams.
1965.
Wow, talk about a reach.
Sid Luckman.
uh, Good one. Um,
You went first, so if we do reach all 23, if that is the number, then you would be the one to say the 23rd.
huh. I'm starting to feel like I'm running dry. Um, I just not coming up with anybody. I guess I'm out. You can win if you can think of one more.
Y.A. Tittle.
Oh, should have thought more of the Rams. Okay,
Are we
so
tapping out?
yeah, yeah, you won it. If you can pull up the list of NFL quarterbacks, if there's really 23, there can't be too many on the list that we haven't. There's got to be more than 23 quarterbacks.
If we're done, I can.
Yeah.
When's this from? Okay, well, we missed George Blanda. You got Bradshaw, Aikman, Dawson, Elway. Oh, we missed Dan Fouts.
Oh man.
We got
Yeah.
Otto Graham, Bob Gracie, Sonny Jurgensen, Jim Kelly, Bobby Lane, Dan Marino, Joe Montana, Warren Moon, Joe Namath, Bart Starr, Staubach, Tarkenton, Y.A. Tittle, Unitas, Norm Van Brocklin, Waterfield, Steve Young. That all? Oh yeah, this can't be updated because there's no Peyton Manning or Brett Favre. That's an older one.
Even still, from the old school, that sounds like we only missed one.
Let's see. I found a more updated one, and yeah, it looks like we only missed one. But this list says 26.
And who was the one?
It was Now I can't find him. Blanda.
And Blanda was kind of known. See, in my lifetime, Blanda um, finished. He like played into his 40s, but he was a punter for the last you know big segment of his career.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah, that's pretty good, pretty impressive. Um, I don't. I don't know that we have time to go through another list.
No, we
Uh,
don't. We'll
I
save it
think,
for next time. I think one per
yeah,
episode is good.
yeah, that's pretty good. If the only quarterback that we didn't think of between the two of us was George Blanda, I mean, the
I
guy
wouldn't
played
have gotten
quarter.
Bob Waterfield. You should have saved that one.
I
That's the
mean,
only one I wouldn't have gotten.
I was thinking I had a book, a little paperback book when I was a kid about great quarterbacks of the NFL, and somehow or another my mind went back into the recesses and pulled the name Bob Waterfield out of that book that I read when I was like 8 years old. I never saw Bob Waterfield play. I couldn't even tell you. I mean, I guess he played for the Rams, but um, I don't know. I don't know much about Bob Waterfield, but
I mean, he retired in 1952. So
yeah, I
obviously you
mean,
didn't watch him play.
a long time even before I was born. So just one of those legendary names. Uh, yeah, don't know much about him at all.
Yeah.
Um, the one that you mentioned, Sammy Baugh, by the way, who was also a Redskins Hall of Fame quarterback.
He
I
recently
actually interviewed.
passed away.
Yeah, I actually interviewed him
Really?
in the early '90s. Yeah, he was from somewhere up in the Panhandle out in West Texas. I don't remember exactly where he went to high school, but he retired too back to his hometown. And I was working at a radio station out in West Texas doing news and sports. And I was in my 20s at the time.
Hmm.
And somehow or another, just things cross your desk, or you get a phone call and someone says, "Hey, would you like to do an interview with?" And they said, "Would you like to do an interview with Sammy Baugh?" And I was like, I'm a Cowboys fan, but sure, I mean, I recognize he's one of the all-time NFL greats, and he's from West Texas, so he's a Texas boy. Sure. And so I did an interview with Sammy Baugh. It was over the phone. It was not an in-person thing. I didn't get to meet him and shake his hand, but um, he was probably, well, I don't know how old he was. He'd been retired for a long time at that time. He was in NFL legend status by the time I interviewed him,
Yeah.
and don't remember much about it. I'm sure I just asked some generic questions about what's your greatest memory and who were your favorite teammates, and what do you think it was that you brought to the game that was special, and what have you been doing since retiring? I mean, yeah, all the basic stuff. But
Yeah.
I do remember he was sort of a humble, sort of a classic Texas gentleman, and very nice to me. And I had confessed to him that I was a Cowboys fan, and he kind of laughed because we just had a good time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hadn't thought about my interview with Sammy Baugh in a long time, and I probably in one of my boxes that I have, I saved some of those radio tapes.
Hmm.
Maybe somewhere on there is on a cassette tape somewhere is my interview from 35 years ago with Sammy Baugh.
Hmm.
So yeah. Anyway, we have reached the 29-minute mark,
Hmm.
and we said we were going to make a real effort to keep this show to 30 minutes tonight.
Yep.
So,
I think we've done
any
just that.
final thoughts?
Nope. Just come back next week when we have another little competition. And maybe some more commentary on. Is there anything happening in the next week for sports that we care about?
Yeah, it's kind of a rough time of the year for sports and football anyway.
We'll come up with something great.
Yeah. Well, and your voice will sound better. I hope you feel better.
I hope so. Yeah. This
Yeah.
is unfortunate. I'm feeling better. It's just my voice is still. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
All right then.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Um, if you are watching this and you feel so compelled, why don't you leave a comment telling us what like category we should, what do we want to call this segment where we go back and forth?
Yeah.
Whatever we want to call the segment, whatever category, whether it's Hall of Fame running backs, whether it's Packers players in the Hall of Fame, something. Come up with some idea if you feel so compelled, and maybe we'll do it.
Yeah. There you go.
Other than that, see you next time.
God bless.